We will now look at dealing with difficult people. When you're looking at conflict and you're looking at conflict resolution, yes, people will tend to be difficult because they want to win. So how do you deal with these difficult individuals in the process of conflict resolution? Of course, there can be direct intervention, which means you simply address the behavior. You address the issue, you don't address the individuals. When you address the issue alone, you're talking directly to the conflict because that's what you want resolved. There is no need attacking individuals. Explain impact of behavior on others. The individual likes to know why what his behavior was demonstrated is not having a positive effect on others. Because it's having a negative effect, that is why the conflict has arisen. And if individuals can be explained, can be reasoned with and told why their action or behavior is inappropriate, I think resolution is on the right track. You can, of course, have indirect intervention. You're not directly attacking the issue. Indirectly, you want to give positive feedback when appropriate behavior is used. When the people at the resolution table are working together and contributing, you want to use praise. You want to use positive feedback so that the intervention will be more fruitful. You want to acknowledge the good that an individual is doing in the process. There is direct coping, where separate difficult individuals from others. If an individual truly is getting out of control, separate the individual. You can talk to that individual one-on-one, and that is direct coping. Direct because it's one-on-one, coping because you're trying to make that one individual understand why what he is doing or she is doing is hampering the work of the other individuals in the process. Indirect coping is provide training to others on dealing with difficult people. Dealing with difficult people, what you do with them is a skill, and individuals can be trained in how to handle difficult individuals. Because we may say, this individual is difficult, that individual is difficult, but all the difficulty is not the same. The difficulty among different individuals differs. And therefore, depending on what the difficulty is, depending on the level of the difficulty, you will have to handle people differently. And that is why training would certainly help in the process. Effectiveness of the techniques used in this process depend on disputing parties' communication skills. Are you able to communicate? And if you are able to communicate, you are not the only one doing all the talking. Somebody else is also doing the talking. So there is a discussion, there is a dialogue. It's not a one-way talk that is happening. Conflict perspective. How does one see the conflict? Different people see conflict differently. If people begin to see the conflict from more or less the same perspective, it is easier to deal with the conflict. Power distribution. How many people involved in the conflict resolution are people with power? Because if there are people with power and there are more people with power, many of the lower rank individuals will stop talking, will not be actively participating in the resolution process. Personal accountability. Every individual is accountable for his contribution. And so what you say needs to be supported. What you say needs to be reasoned. Only then will it be taken wholeheartedly. When is conflict positive? When we are able to resolve internal and interpersonal conflicts using win-win problem solving. So conflict is positive if it is resolved mutually, the two parties agreeing to a common compromise. That is when conflict is positive, because both parties see themselves as winners, and that is important and essential. Every relationship will have some conflicts at some time or other. When we use win-win problem solving, it strengthens the relationship. When we don't, it destroys it. So even at home, in the workplace, in our educational classroom and school environments, conflicts will happen because more than one human beings are involved. When more than one human beings are involved, everything is not going to go smoothly all the time. So when a conflict happens and you can resolve it win-win, where both parties or all individuals involved benefit in some way, the relationship is strengthened. When one individual or one party benefits and the other really loses out badly, the relationship tends to be destroyed. Who owns the problem? The person who is negatively affected by the problem. So in a conflict, when a problem exists, one person is negatively affected and one is either neutral or actually has a benefit. So the problem belongs to the individual who is negatively affected. So what is the owner's responsibility? What should this individual now do? To find a way to resolve the conflict, even if it is not the cause of it. So even if this individual did not cause the conflict, did not contribute to the conflict, should still try to resolve the conflict, bring the conflict to an end. So what preparation does the individual need to make? Include only those concerned. The more the merrier is not going to work in conflict resolution. You want few involved people, you don't want too many outsiders. Give a description of the problem that respects all involved. So summarize, make a statement that involves both parties' perspectives and objectives. It has to be mutual, can't be one-sided. Explain how conflict resolution can enable all to win and explain the steps. Describe what you want to do, what are the next steps, how is the conflict going to be resolved, and what benefits are there for you and me, for both parties involved. Agree not to slip back to the win-lose methods. We want a mutually agreeable solution. We don't want a win-lose situation, we want a win-win situation. And we also don't want a lose-win situation. Find a good time and place with no distractions. You don't want to be distracted. You don't want this to happen late in the evening when everybody's tired. You don't want this to happen early in the morning when very many people are not willing to get up and come at that time. So find a common place and time where you can sit and work out the resolution. Get something to write down ideas. You must note down, paper and pencil, a tablet, your smartphone today, anything, but write down the ideas that are coming because you will soon forget. And then use all that material to generate a mutually agreeable solution.